I'd like to acknowledge what happened 56 years ago today. It's called Bloody Sunday. A group of peaceful protesters protesting for their right to vote were brutally beaten on the Edmund Pettus Bridge. Let's take a few moments to sit with the trauma of that event for those there and for those that still live with that. And now, if you would please turn to your rituals and practice booklets, which are in the chat. We will do the Three Refuges. I go for refuge to Buddha, my deeply awakened mind, the living source of understanding and compassion, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to Dharma, the path of mindful living, leading to healing, joy, and enlightenment, the way of peace, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I go for refuge to the Sangha, the loving and supportive community of practice, realizing harmony, awareness, and liberation, which must be cultivated to be known fully. I am aware that the three jewels are within my heart. I vow to realize them. I vow to understand living beings and their suffering. I vow to cultivate loving kindness and compassion and to practice joy and equanimity. I vow to live simply and sanely, content with few possessions, and to keep my body healthy. I vow to let go of all worry and anxiety in order to be light and free. I am aware that I owe so much to my parents, teachers, friends, and all beings. I vow to be worthy of their trust, to practice wholeheartedly so that understanding and compassion will flower, and I can help living beings be free from their suffering. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Sangha, and may the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. May the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha support my efforts. And now, Nathan, if you'd unmute and do the Heart Sutra for us, we would really appreciate that.
Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra. The Bodhisattva of great compassion from the deep practice of prajna paramita perceived the emptiness of all five skandhas and delivered all beings from their suffering. O Shariputra, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. The same is true of feeling, thought, impulse, and consciousness. O Shariputra, all dharmas are empty. They're not born nor annihilated. They are not defiled nor immaculate. They do not increase nor decrease. So in emptiness, no form, no feeling, no thought, no impulse, no consciousness, no eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind, no form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or objects of mind, no realm of sight, no realm of consciousness, no ignorance, nor extinction of ignorance, no old age and death, nor extinction of them, no suffering, no cause of suffering, no cease from suffering, no path to lead out of suffering, no knowledge, no attainment, no realization, for there is nothing to attain. The Bodhisattva holds on to nothing but prajna paramita. Therefore the mind is clear of any delusive hindrance. Without hindrance there is no fear. Away from all perverted views, one reaches final nirvana. All Buddhas of past, present, and future, through faith in prajna paramita, attain to the highest perfect enlightenment. Know then the prajna paramita is the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantram, the utmost supreme mantram, which is capable of allaying all pain. This is true beyond all doubt. Proclaim now the highest wisdom, the prajna paramita. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, para samgate, bodhisvaha. Gate, gate, para gate, parasumgate bodhisvaha. The Maha Prajna Paramita Hridaya Sutra.
Thank you, Nathan. Beautiful as always. So today we're going to be experiencing the Hsin Hsin Ming. The Hsin Hsin Ming is a little poem, 25 stanzas. It was created by the third Zen patriarch, Zen Dasan, in the 6th century. It's called Verses on Faith Mind. But in the introduction, it warns us not to get too caught up in that. But what we can say about that is there's no blind faith in Buddhism. We check it out and experience it for ourselves and see if that experience works. It's called the Essence of Zen. That's pretty powerful. The Essence of Zen in this little booklet. It's got to be powerful, and it is. Essence is defined as the intrinsic nature or indispensable quality of something, especially something abstract, that determines its character. This is abstract. You can work with this all your life and continue to be valid. And it's just like the three refuges we recited just a bit ago. We must cultivate this to be known fully. This is a constant cultivation of this wonderful Zen garden to fully know. So what we're going to do is Lucas has got each stanza that you'll see on the screen. I'll read it. I'll hit the bowl one time and we'll sit with it for a couple of minutes. And then we are going to open it up for discussion. And I really hope that you will tell us how these stanzas hit you, and whether or not they work or don't work, whether you understand or don't understand. Just please share your thoughts. So, Lucas, if you can put the first one up, we'll get this going. When you try to stop activity to achieve quietude, your very effort fills you with activity. As long as you remain attached to one extreme or another, you will never know oneness. Those who do not live in the single way cannot be free in either activity or quietude, in assertion or denial. And now we'll open this up for discussion, what your thoughts are. And so please, someone start us off with this.
It's Gail. Oh,
Good morning, Gail.
yes, good morning. What it means to me is to remain in the present moment. It says when you try to stop activity to achieve quietude, your very efforts fill you with activity. And for what it means for me personally is to not look forward, although you do have to plan some things in your life, to not look backward, because that's certainly a waste of time. It's already done. And to remain in the present moment and in the quietude. And last night when I was making a salad, I attempted to have it as a meditation, you know, taking each carrot, thanking the people who brought the carrots to me, you know, the feel of them, the color of them, to take my time in it. And it's just, you can achieve a sense of wonder in just being in the present if you remain awake.
Thanks, Gail.
Morning, Yong Su and Sangha.
Morning, Ken.
For me, this kind of made me think about meditation practice. So a lot of times in meditation practice, it's easy to try to actively stop thinking and kind of try to push things down, which I don't think is the right approach. I think what this says to me in my meditation is to let things come up, notice sounds, notice what's happening, so that you should be able to meditate equally well if you're doing it right in a quiet cave somewhere or in a busy airport, for example. So that's kind of what spoke to me with this passage.
Cool. Thanks, Kent.
Good morning, Sangha. Yeah.
Morning, Shane.
Yeah, Kent, that's kind of how I felt with this. And I also I think of overthinking, we're trying to, when we're sitting there, some people have a preconception of meditation where you have to be completely still and peaceful in order to be able to meditate. So then their very activity of trying to be quiet rustles them up. And then I think going to the next passage, you're taking one extreme and the other. It's like we're trying to find the middle way, the single way. And once you attach, that word attachment is very important, because that's we can even attach the idea of enlightenment. I think just trying to let go and be. And then the last part, those who do not live in the single way cannot be free of either activity or quietude, or in assertion or denial. It's so if you don't find that middle way, the single way, I think even when you find the peace, if you can stop your thoughts, I mean, you're still not, you're almost trying to get quietude, and that's not the goal. There is no goal, but I think it's the single way is the goalless path in a sense. But that's what I get from it. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. You have any idea why single way is capitalized?
No,
I think
that's the question.
Anybody else have some thoughts on that?
just thinking of it as the Eightfold Path, the Buddha way is what I think.
Okay.
This is Mary.
Hi, Mary.
Good morning.
Good morning. Kind of thinking of the single way is maybe it's the important way. Usually when you use capitalization, you're trying to show the importance of one sentence or one structure. So maybe the single way, when it's capitalized, it's important and it's something we should focus on. And it's a way for us to follow. It's a path. kind of like a title, maybe.
Sure.
Hmm.
Thank
Anyway,
you.
thank
Now it's about our understanding. All of this is about our understanding of what's going on. That's a good way to look at it. Or certainly one way to look at it. A single way to look at it.
Good morning. Morning, Sangha.
Good morning, Ashton.
Yeah, I just wrote a couple words down that came to mind, and not grasping, letting go completely, no interference from our ego, similar to as Gail was saying with her experience. Being fully absorbed in that single way, kind of that, which I kind of interpreted as emptiness or as this shared consciousness. And then also that activity, as Kent was saying, is no different than quietude, whether we're in a busy airport or in our meditation, or making our salad, when trying to realize the oneness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. This is my name is James.
Good morning, James.
Good morning. Well, first, I really loved what Gail said. I've been involved with food since I was 13, 14. So it's food for me is very, very spiritual. And I really enjoyed and could relate to what she said. And just being more mindful, where did this carrot come from? And it's weird because I always relate to a carrot, like not all carrots are created equal kind of thing, depending on if they're coming from a mass industrial place or, a farm down the road. And just being mindful and aware of a carrot. It sounds simple, but, especially when I would grow my own garden, and seeing from seed to fruit and sort of that cycle to give us or me sustenance, I think it was just, very Buddha-like. But the other thing is I relate a lot of this to my active recovery. I just had 2 months sober yesterday. It was also, thank you. It was also my 32nd birthday. So just kind of new beginnings and new challenges as I move forward. Especially from one extreme to another. I mean, when I was in active addiction, it was all or nothing. There was no middle way. There was no single way. And I was definitely not present during that. And something we talk a lot about here is, there's only right now, especially as, we go through the program and deal with our wounds. There's a lot of guilt and shame of our past selves, and understanding that those are things we can reflect on, but really there's only now, and you don't have to be that person you were even yesterday. So with this, I see a lot of potential just to really be in the now, be here now. Thank you.
Thank you, James. Some good thoughts, and really happy you're in recovery. So am I. Unless there's any other thoughts about this one, we will go to the next one. Any last ideas? Okay, Lucas, let's go to the next one. Thank you. Deny the reality of things and you miss their reality. Assert the emptiness of things and you miss their reality. The more you talk and think about it, the further you wander from the truth. So cease attachment to talking and thinking, and there is nothing you will not be able to know. So now, once again, we'll open it up for discussion. Unmute yourself and tell us what your thoughts are on this stanza.
Yong Su, there are two things that come to mind. One, in one of the sutras, Buddha says, direct experience is the only reality. If we ascribe to someone else's experience or explanation or description of that experience, that is not truly reality, and that takes us farther and farther away from the ultimate truth. I like, so cease attachment to talking and thinking, and there is nothing you will not be able to know, because when we talk and think, especially those of us who are in recovery, we tend to make up stories in our heads about anything. We see something, we hear something, and we go from there and make up this story. Assert the emptiness of things and you miss their reality. And too often I think we think of emptiness as a void. But emptiness is not a void. It is simply getting rid of all the extraneous things that we tend to talk and think about that opens us up for that direct experience, which is reality. Thank you.
Thanks, Uncle. Someone else, please share.
Hi, it's Mary again.
Mary?
Yep. I was really thinking about like denying the not denying the reality. The more you talk and think about it, the further you wander from truth. I've dealt with anxiety my entire life, and it's always been an issue for me. And so when I saw that, it really spoke to me about when I would have anxious episodes or I would get really anxious about things, I would tend to make up thoughts and overthink about things and talk to myself in my head to really make something that wasn't real. And I would wander further from the truth or reality of things. And it would really be hard for me to accept what was real and what was fake, because I wouldn't know the truth because I would talk and think more about it. And so reading this to cease from attachment to talking and thinking, just to be in the present and accept what is coming to you and accept what is leaving, and to not overthink things and to always just accept it and not have to overthink, to just cease from overthinking, because that's all I do. I just overthink all the time. But mostly just remaining in the moment is what I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Certainly can overthink sometimes. A little saying that I've come to use quite a bit lately is going down the rabbit hole, going into the wonderland.
Thank you for your share. I have some thoughts. I see attachment again, and I think that's a key word. It's like anytime we attach to something, that's where we get into hot water. And then, so it's like, it doesn't say not to talk or to think, but not to get attached to an idea or to attach to the word behind the thought, I think, is what I'm getting at. And being in that present moment is really key. And to deny the reality of things, to say everything is empty, is like, when you get to nihilism, I think that it's like that is going the wrong way. I think of emptiness as a spaciousness, as like everything is interconnected, like this web. So I think whenever people think of emptiness, I feel like the English translation of shunyata, I think is the word. But the emptiness, I think, doesn't do the word justice, the meaning behind what the Buddha is trying to teach. So I think a lot of the Hsin Hsin Ming, I see the same, it's worded differently, but it has the same meaning. Do not be attached. Don't go into an extreme. Find the middle way. So that's what I got. Thank you.
Thanks, Shane. Well, there's emptiness in its simplicity is nothing stands on its own. It's
Mm.
empty of its own inherent nature, and everything has Buddha nature. That's the simple way to look at it, but there's a lot more reading and studying you can do.
Yeah.
The other thing, attachment, I've counted it, I think I counted 18 times in a 25 stanza poem. Attachment, clinging, that's yeah, so it's a theme throughout the Hsin Hsin Ming, so it's very important.
Morning, Yong Su.
Morning.
I'm very new on this journey in this lifetime, but I guess what this spoke to me specifically, the last two sentences, is as I've am starting to learn more the purpose of meditation and the way that the delusions take over your mind, even that battle in meditation that you have to do to clear your thoughts, and how it creeps in with I have to mow the grass later. Well, maybe not right now, but all those thoughts that one has and trying to clear those. And, to your point, I think on attachment, that that impermanence and that recognizing those thoughts we have and those habits and delusions of always wanting permanence, and the way our those thoughts go towards attachment and material things or wanting permanence, but trying to battle that in many ways and wanting the impermanence. So again, very new to this journey, but those are some of my thoughts.
Good. Thank you. Yeah, new or old, hopefully we cultivate the new the new thoughts, beginner's mind, and impermanence and wanting something permanent. What was your name? I'm sorry, I can't see your name.
I'm Ryan, Yong Su.
Oh, Ryan. Welcome, Ryan. So yeah, that wanting permanence, that certainly is attachment, and we don't want to die. We don't want this thing to go away. We cling to this existence. Yeah. That's the ultimate clinging.
So a couple notes that I came up on this. Part of, denying the reality of things. I was thinking about when if you were to deny that the color of the sky is blue, that doesn't change the fact that it's blue. It's allowing us to become aware to the rising of that ego, and that ego that's kind of battling that attachment. And when we no longer feel the need to think or talk about something, we're able to release our ego's grasp on it.
Thanks, Zane.
It's Gail. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Lately, I've been reading about Tonglen, and I'm sure, Yong Su, you're familiar with Tonglen.
A bit.
The practice of it. And I found it really very helpful. And very simply what it is when you feel a feeling of, say, for example, Mary, your anxiety or fear or attachment and clinging, you breathe in that feeling, you embrace it, you don't try and push it away. That is the reality of what you're feeling, and you're compassionate with yourself. So, for example, anxiety, rather than going down the rabbit hole and starting the whole storyline, you take a breath in, you say, hello, anxiety, and you breathe it in. And when you breathe out, then you think of all the other people that you know who are experiencing the same thing. And then you broaden it to all beings that are having anxiety or fear or attachment. And that's something that I've really found very helpful.
Thank you, Gail.
Mm-hmm.
If there's no other thoughts on this, we'll do one more before we close.
Actually, I did have a thought too.
Sure.
I was trying to think
Please.
of how to articulate this. the way that I took this, you know, I work for a nonprofit trying to do these big things and trying to help build a more loving world. And we were a part of a Sangha, which is a congregation, and I've kind of grown up in churches and done all of that. And I have just become aware of this sometimes when people organize around these big ideas and these efforts to try and do good things in the world, it's possible to lose track of the actual practices that you need to do to, you know, you could be trying to create a more loving world or trying to cultivate compassion and then get totally obsessed with the sort of building the structures that do this instead of the actual thing that you're trying to do. So I guess that's sort of what I got from that. It's good to try and support these structures and to try and build these things up because that's a part of making the world a better place or helping contribute to making the world a better place. But in our efforts to do that, sometimes you can spend a lot of times talking and thinking about these things because humans do that. And you can lose sight of, you know, the actual thing that you're trying to do in the first place. It's like, be like if we were to all, you know, spend hours talking about how to make things more compassionate, but we weren't cultivating compassion ourselves in our own practices. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, exactly.
very much. Makes
Thanks.
sense to me, Nathan. Thank you very much. One more? To return to the root is to find the essence, but to pursue appearances or enlightenment is to miss the source. To awaken even for a moment is to go beyond appearance and emptiness. And I see I wasn't very mindful when I spelled appearance the first time. Okay, one last time. Give us your thoughts, your understanding. What came up with this particular stanza?
For me, it brought up the Four Noble Truths. And that's what, to me, the return to the root is the Four Noble Truths. And then to address greed, anger, and ignorance, and then leading to the Eightfold Path. That is what it meant to me, to return to the root. And the essence would be the Four Noble Truths.
Thank you, Gail.
I think for me, the part that really stood out was just that first phrase of to return to the root is to find the essence. I think I've been thinking a lot about just that part and how that relates to the first stanza we did today and what Amko kind of brought up about these stories and things we attach to otherwise empty or neutral objects. So then to like return to the root is to experience things without all of those like things we've put on top of them in our minds through all of our thinking and talking, and to just like see the true form or essence of them, and that their appearances are like all of those things we've added on to them. And that we do that with the concept of enlightenment as well, is that we have stories about enlightenment. We have these like mental formations of what enlightenment is, and to cling to that is to miss the whole point.
Thanks, Maya. See through clear glasses.
Morning, Sangha.
Morning.
Morning.
So while we've been reading these verses, I've been reminded a lot of sort of an early debate in Buddhism that arose about truth. I feel like we're in the throes of that question right now on a cultural level of what is true and truthiness and all that jazz. So one way the Madhyamaka school, an early form of Indian Buddhism, wrangled with this question was arriving at what they called the two truths doctrine. And that on an epistemological level, like how we know, what we know, there's the level of relative truth where with philosophy or science or opinions or what have you, we can use words all day to try to arrive at truth. But ultimately, there's truth beyond that is only perceived through direct experience and goes beyond words and can never be fully stated, in a string of noises, there's something that can only be intuited and tasted through direct, concrete, tactile experience. And we can describe it with long philosophical digressions. We can debate about it. We can call it this, we can call it that, but ultimately those locutions, they're just a finger pointing at the moon, but they are never the moon itself.
Thanks, Caleb. Well, you gave away the ending to this poem. The last stanza, number 25, says, words, words, the way is beyond language. Not this, Lucas, it's all the way back, sorry. It's number 25, and we're only on number 7 right now, or 8. So, words, words, the way is beyond language, for in it there is no yesterday, no tomorrow, no today. I hesitate to say that because that's going to shut everybody up. Words, words. No, we still have to do the exercise, but don't get attached to those words, right?
I'm reminded of, I think, like 2 years back, Yong Su, you did a similar activity like this at Temple, where we talked, I think, about verses 1 through 3 or 1 through 4 of the Hsin Hsin Ming. And that was kind of what happened towards the end, was like, we were all dishing our opinions, but it came to that like horrible conclusion where it's like, well, maybe we shouldn't be talking about this at all because it's ultimately beyond words, right? And there's kind of like a, I don't know, a weird sense of like at the end, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, I hear you. Well, I guess what I take from that is just, once again, don't get attached to those words. You know, that isn't the thing. That's it's beyond words, but in this particular form, we need words.
Mm-hmm.
I'm grateful for everybody's words right now. And, you know, I was focusing on the word pursuit, and I was thinking that active pursuit assumes that something is pursuing something else, which to me it seemed like would require some kind of ego striving or grasping to some kind of mental formation of a concept, as Maya was referring to. So going beyond appearances and emptiness is to see and experience things as they are without an observer to cloud our judgment with thoughts or preferences, expectations, and, you know, past conditioning. That's what I was thinking.
Okay, good. Thanks, Ashton. Is there anybody who hasn't spoken yet that's thinking about it?
I have an afterthought, if that's okay. I was just thinking, and this might be an unpopular opinion, but I know we've been talking a lot about attachment and like attachment to words and things like that. And I think for me that loosely translates into these things are bad. And I don't really like that because I feel like they exist for a purpose, and as long as we learn something from our experience with attachment or words or all those bad things that we should not or try to stay away from, as long as we're learning from them, then they hold a value. And I don't like that it's kind of loosely translating into it being bad, because we're human and we're going to be attached, so we just need to try to like learn from it and like respect it, if anything. So that's just a thought.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think, yeah, bad, I wouldn't put that on it, but I can see where you can draw from that. But there's the story of, I forget the whole thing, but I'll give you the essence of it, which is you need to get across the river. So you build a raft, and the raft gets you across the river. That's excellent. But you decide to put the raft on your back and carry it along with you. The raft is of no more use. So the irritation, the frustration, whatever it is that we attach to can become useless at a certain point. It can teach us. And there's obviously some attachments, like a little baby to their parents, particularly the mom. There's attachments that are needed in this body. But it's when we carry them, when we hold them to our chest, when we embrace them, that's where where suffering comes. When a dear one of mine dies, or anybody I know, I can feel sad and pain. But if I massage that and embrace that and hold it to my chest, I suffer and continue to suffer instead of just experiencing the pain.
Yong Su, I think there's I just want to make a couple points. I think there's a significant difference between attachment and connection.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And the other thing is that as Buddhists, we don't tend to ascribe very much to good, bad. Okay, those aren't words that we typically use to describe the journey on the path. And for me, a better word has always been functional. It's not good, it's not bad. Is it functional? Does it serve a purpose? Moreover, does it serve a purpose not only for us personally, but for all sentient beings? And as we know, this is an independent journey. No one's coming to save us. And so when we get into things like the Four Noble Truths, the Noble Eightfold Path, all of those words, right, proper, or good, that come before each of the segments of the Noble Eightfold Path are very independent to us individually. And as long as they are in service to ourselves and all sentient beings, then we've, at that point, I think, eliminated concepts of good or bad. Thank you.
So. Some good words we use are skillful and unskillful.
Yes.
Cultivating that, going from the unskillful and cultivating the skill. And we need to practice. Any other thoughts before we close? All right, Sangha, thank you. You've taught me some things, and I appreciate that. And I've been playing with this, wrestling with this sometimes, and trying to embrace this for several years. And it's always fascinating to me what you guys come up with. So thank you. So we will close with our closing gathas, which are on, in the chat. For all unskillful action ever committed by me since of old, on account of my beginningless greed, anger, and ignorance, born of my body, mouth, and thoughts, now I atone for it all. Vast is the robe of compassion, a formless field of benefaction. I wear the Buddha's teachings for the benefit of all sentient beings. All beings, one body, I vow to liberate. Endless blind passion, I vow to uproot. Dharma gates without number, I vow to penetrate. The great way of Buddha, I vow to attain. Thank you, Sangha. We can now stop recording and open it up to first to announce